Hey guys, welcome back on the channel. So in this video, let's explore a way that I consider safe in order to invest in blockchain infrastructure to generate not only passive income, but also to put ourselves in a good spot right now in order to sell in the future with a profit. So we'll have a time period to grow our bags by investing in exchanges. So I'm gonna use three examples in this one: PancakeSwap, Orca, and also Aerodrome. So right now, when it comes to DEXs volume, you can see top 5 DEXs. The reason why I will not include Uniswap in this one is because Uniswap doesn't give you an option to also share from protocol generated revenue, right? So in this case, that's why I'm focusing on PancakeSwap, Orca, and Aerodrome. All of these three give you that option, and you are exposed for the most part to different ecosystems. PancakeSwap, it's the Binance, on-chain Binance. Aerodrome, it's not on-chain Coinbase, but they're the leading DEX on Base, and they do have a lot of backing by Coinbase itself. And Base, to be a success, they need liquidity, they need exchanges, they need liquidity pools, and Aerodrome is delivering that. It's being really successful, gathering liquidity, attracting users. So yeah, Aerodrome, I also think it's a good one, giving you exposure on Base, and then exposure to Solana on Orca. With all of this, you can use just liquidity pools. They are leading volume generating DEXs. That means they are prime crypto DeFi infrastructure, and that means a lot of on-chain activity goes through them. If we sort it out for the past 30-day volume, we can see the same thing still does apply. Orca falls down to the 6th spot, but still 7.4 billion in volume for the past 30 days. I mean, let's not say that's a bad performance because, well, let's see here, the next one on the list, we have Meteora, and we also have Radium performing a bit better than Orca. But Orca, in my opinion, is a really good DEX for beginners. I love yield farming on Orca. So Orca also has their own mechanics recently implemented with their own buyback of the token, backed by protocol generated revenue. I like the idea, so I think it's a reliable option. Remember, of course, yeah, Bitcoin runs the whole show, but as long as BNB keeps solid and grows, PancakeSwap reflects that. The same thing for Aerodrome when it comes to Ethereum, and the same thing for Orca when it comes to Solana. The success of all of these tokens doesn't need necessarily to come from the protocol success. As long as there's drive and there's demand for the native token of the network, each network, if that token goes up in price, these tokens will also go up in price. Of course, the opposite is also true. If it drops, these ones also do reflect that. All right, so this is my idea. So let's see how the tokens are right now, because if the market is bottomed out, this is going to be a really good moment in time to start doing this. Okay, so let's take a look at the chart for each of these tokens, starting with Cake. So 1.4 right now seems to be a good entry. If we look at the chart, I mean, we're pretty much bottomed out, right? So there's a point here where we were even at 1.2, but if we keep going back in time, actually, let me switch up this for daily candles. So this liquidity pool, it's probably the oldest, Cake paired with wrapped BNB, 2 years and 11 months. So it's a little short. It's actually almost 3 years old. And looking at this, I mean, we're pretty much at the bottom. There are points here where it was at $1.05, $1.25. For the most part, we see that we're not all that far from the bottom. When I'm yield farming with wide ranges, the entry point is going to be very important. So I don't see the entry point getting much better than what it is right now. Actually, we can earn Cake for free. And that is just by providing liquidity to, for example, these stablecoin pairs, which is a very low risk way to generate passive income and earn Cake. Farm APR will depend on the pool, but it's not unusual to find really juicy farm APRs as incentives, not only on the BNB chain, but also on Base, maybe Solana. And this is a really low risk way to start earning some yield, get some Cake tokens. Now, other than stables, if you want to go with something like the native token for gas of a blockchain paired with the stablecoin, you can find really good opportunities right now on Base, 15% farm APR. That pays you 100% in Cake, right? And then you also have the LP fee. So you can use the LP fee to compound back in, grow your position, and you can use the farm APR to just deposit into a Cake liquidity pool. And you can do this across the board: Solana, Base, BNB chain. Just find a reliable pool, which is mostly a blue chip paired with a stable, or just a stablecoin liquidity pool like I showed you before. And those will be really reliable options. You can even find Bitcoin liquidity pools, although the Cake APR, for example, right now it's really low. But sometimes PancakeSwap can be very generous with the incentives, so you gotta keep an eye out for it. You just have to follow them on Twitter. Let me open their Twitter. They will announce every week the current farming incentives, the top farms for farming incentives. So you can find really good options. I mean, look at this. This is on Base, CBBTC with a stable, Zcash with a stable on the BNB chain, Ethereum paired with CBETH. So I like PancakeSwap. I think they have really good yield farming options. Although you will see that the farm APR will be very high, and of course that's money flowing in that we can earn, we can yield farm, but you will see that the pure LP fees on PancakeSwap usually will be lower compared with other decentralized exchanges. All right, so have that in mind. So you get the idea. Overall, there's plenty of liquidity pools here where we can yield farm Cake on for completely free, earn it. What can we do then with Cake? So we can go then for Cake liquidity pools. We can deploy that Cake. Of course, first things first, we can sell the Cake and then buy back into the pool, compound into the pool with it. But we can also go and find, let's say we're depositing on Base. We can go and find on Base a liquidity pool of Cake paired with USDC or wrapped Ethereum, right? On Solana, it would be Cake paired with Solana, obviously. But you can deploy Cake into those pools, make sure it's Cake paired with the native token of the blockchain or with the stable, and have it generating passive income there. These pools tend to have lower volume, like we just saw. For example, let me go here with a Cake paired with a stablecoin. Usually, if you're looking for pure volume, stick on the BNB chain with Cake pools, and that's where the highest volume is. But we could add liquidity here to a Cake stable liquidity pool, and I could go with something like this. Okay, we saw that we're pretty much bottomed out, right? So if I would put my minimum price at around $1, that would be on the safer side, but then I could put my max at around 220, something like this on the upside. That would be a really decent profit, pretty much 50% profit on our Cake holdings. Once it hits this point, the whole pool turns into USDT. We can take the profit out. In the meanwhile, the expected APR is 27%. This can be higher or lower. It can be double than this in high volume days. But the reliability of these pools is that you know that over time, people, whatever the blockchain it is, they will farm incentives and they will sell Cake for profits. So you know these pools get activity. Although the volume to liquidity ratio might not be the best, over time these are consistent earners. And like I said before, PancakeSwap is on-chain Binance, right? So at some point there will be these buys, like these massive green candles. These are not just regular market volatility. This is Binance essentially driving the price up, bringing awareness to the token, bringing more eyeballs to it, bringing attention to it. People see volume, they go provide liquidity. So expect over time for these massive spikes to happen here and there. And right now we're at an accumulation point. At some time, Binance will dump some money into it to drive the price up, drive interest. So yeah, at that point, it's when you see your LP that you bought over time, not only going up in price, but also in volume. But at that point in time, taking profits, it's definitely a wise option. So this is an example of I would say a solid range to farm Cake on with the revenue that you're getting from other pools. So next up on the list, it's Aero. Right now, are we bottomed out? I don't know, but this is the unofficial DEX of Base Network. So right now, 30 cents, it's better buy it here than at the top. With the whole narrative behind Base and Aerodrome being the leading exchange on Base Network, it can also definitely be a really good option. Aerodrome works a bit different than PancakeSwap though. On Aerodrome, there's two different APRs that you see here. Fee APR, which is purely the tokens in the liquidity pair, and emission APR, which is Aero emissions. Not everyone will be able to earn this unless you are holding Aero and locking it here. The longer you lock it for, the more you will get from those emissions. Aero is an inflationary token, but they have some burn mechanics in place, of course. The thing is, you can see there's a huge difference between what you can get from emissions and fees. But if you are not committing to the platform in long term by holding Aero and locking it, you will not unlock these really high APRs that come from the emissions. You will see that you will be limited to the LP fees, which they are not bad, but look at this. CBBTC paired with the stable, you can get up to really high triple digits APR if you consider the emissions. And the LP fees, I mean, this is still really good yield, almost 30% on Bitcoin, but it's not as high as it could be if you are locking Aero for the long term. All right, so this is it about Aerodrome. The same thing also does still apply if you want to go with a more low risk approach, go with stables. You can find those easily here. So yeah, Aerodrome also a really good option, especially if you like provide liquidity on Ethereum layer 2s. Aerodrome should be one on your book. Now next up we have Orca on Solana. Right now Orca is at 85 cents. Is it the bottom? Let's see. Let's backtrack from the beginning of when this LP was created. So back then in 2024 January, Orca was at around $5 per token. It has come downhill from there. Could it go lower? Potentially. Back on June 2022 and October 2023, Orca was pretty much at the same price as it is now. But remember, that's why I say this is infrastructure. There is demand, there is utility behind the exchange. And if Solana goes up, Orca goes up. And Orca itself, let me go here on Orca, they will have also staking. The difference between Orca and PancakeSwap is that you will not find incentives in the shape of Orca as easily as you find on PancakeSwap. PancakeSwap is very unique when it comes to that. Although at some point in time, there will be Orca incentives. They will just be substantially lower than compared with PancakeSwap though. But still you can come here, find a reliable pool like for example Solana, USDC. This pool, and it's the native token of the blockchains. 30-day APR 32%. So you see yield can get a bit crazy, but I would go with a wider range in this scenario because it's going to be a medium to long-term play. Let's say something like this, on the downside $50, on the upside this is going to be lower risk, so something like this 120. And what APR is going to be expected? So 25% APR, not that bad, and that's 30 days APR even. So probably we will see something lower than this, but this is also a very on-demand liquidity pool. You can also go with Bitcoin. There's Bitcoin liquidity pools here that also provide really good yield. So you see this one, WBTC 5% a month. If we go with CBBTC, let's see what we can find here. Another one, 5% a month. So we can use the fees from these pools to compound back into the pool itself, or just buy Orca. And if you buy Orca, you can come here and stake it. Once you do stake it, you get X Orca, which is the receipt for your Orca deposit. Now this is going to be locked. So if you want to withdraw and sell it, when you unstake X Orca, tokens are burned and you begin a 7-day cooldown period. Although this deposit is expected to grow over time, because as you can see here, right now X Orca earns 13.8% APR, and this is fed by a flywheel that they put into motion recently, which is using the protocol generated revenue to buy back the token itself. This can be extremely powerful, and right now, if we are really at the bottom of the market, when prices start to go up, you will see how powerful this can be. The cool thing about it is that X Orca, you can still use it for other DeFi opportunities. You do not get your liquidity stuck here. You know, DeFi is all about making capital efficient. So you get X Orca, we can go back here on pools, and with the X Orca that you got, you can find here some liquidity pools for sure. So paired with USDC, there's not all that much interest here, but there will be others. Paired with Orca for sure, there's going to be active, some demand here. So yeah, here we go. Over $200,000 deposited in this pool. It's not a volume heavy liquidity pool, just like with Cake, but it's still some yield that you can generate. Or we can go and pair it here with Solana, which is showing a 4% APR for a month, which is really good stuff. So we can use Orca to create this whole flywheel effect. I would say originally go with a pool that provides you nice yield in the shape of fees, Solana USDC, for example, Bitcoin USDC, which is a blue chip pool. It's solid, it's stable. I mean, it's not going to crash overnight. Generates fees. We can use those fees to buy Orca, deploy here, and put the X Orca to work into some other pool. So these are just some ideas, ways for us to generate passive income, invest in crypto infrastructure, providing liquidity, and with those generated fees, buy the token of a DEX, get exposure to crypto infrastructure. From all of these options, probably PancakeSwap is the most flexible because you're not locked into any sort of staking. Well, you can be here in the syrup pools, but when it comes to liquidity pools, you can withdraw your liquidity whenever you want. While with Orca, there's a cooldown period here. With Aero, you have those locking periods that can go up to 4 years. So definitely PancakeSwap is the most flexible when it comes to that. Although here on Orca, you can always at any point in time trade your Orca for another token. The thing is that the idea here is that 1x Orca will grow up your Orca bag over time. As the buybacks take place, and they do take place daily, this number is expected to go up and up. So this is it, what I wanted to share with you on this one. If you understand the infrastructure, where the money flows through these pipelines, let's call it that, we can put ourselves in a position to profit from it. That's the overall idea behind this. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you are already doing this, also feel free to share your experience. Drop a comment down below. That being said, guys, thank you for watching. Take care. I'm going to wrap this one up. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this type of content. Keep exploring crypto, and I'll see you in the next one.